All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to jump in and do this. Joining me on the line, as always, on a Friday, his name is Mike Reyes. He is from Cinemablend. He writes about movies, entertainment, and everything in between, and listens to my ramblings when we're not recording. Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm fine, and that's what friends do, man.
What's funny is if some people could hear the conversations we've had off the air about things, whether it's the world of movies, the world of entertainment, the world of politics, and everything in between, it's crazy.
Both markets would dissolve, and we'd probably be back to tin cups in my backyard, like just no one listening, possibly.
Well, no one's listening. No, I'm kidding. There's like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, nobody's listening to. Just go ahead and
there's like 2 or 3 people that are real strong listeners. Anyways. Mike, we've got a lot of here and there this week. We do have some movies that are coming out. Let's start there. The big one is Furiosa, right?
Yeah, Furiosa, Mad Max Saga.
Let me add, before you get into the actual review, where are you on the world of Mad Max? Is it like a world you like going to? Is it a series of movies that you enjoy? What's kind of the feeling there?
I've only seen Fury Road. I know of the Mad Max series. I know of details here and there. I'm here. Fury Road was fun.
Okay.
So I was kind of excited to go in for Furiosa. I'm not a diehard fan, but Fury Road was good. And Charlize Theron's Furiosa was a character that you kind of knew from the beginning was being teed up as like the next chapter or the breakout star.
What's funny about it is, if you go back to the original movies, like the first one, like they're kind of living in the like it's like the very beginning, right?
Yeah. There's
still grass. There's still people. They're having picnics and stuff. And then his family gets run down, and by the second one, they're living in the middle of the desert.
Yeah, it's a series that has increasingly become weirder and more apocalyptic.
Yeah.
To the point where you get to Beyond Thunderdome, that's when you really had the weird character language and the costumes and the Tina Turner song, and then you just got to Fury Road, which was very much a reaction to the world that it is today, and was just very angry and vengeful and hard driving, kinetic even. That movie moves so fast. I threw it on the other day when I was writing my review for Furiosa, and whether you like Fury Road or not, you have to admire the fact that George Miller, for a man of his age, I need to look up how old he is specifically. I want to say he's 80. I don't remember how old he was when he made he's 79 right now. He's 79 right now, so he was probably about 74. Either way, the man is up there in age, and he has shown modern action directors what for with the way that he goes hard with his action. I mean, even in the original films, this was something I talked about with a buddy on another podcast. There is documentaries where you can watch stunts being done for the original Mad Max movies, and then you hear these other offhanded stories that sound like something along the lines of, okay, so this stuntman was told, don't eat, don't drink, you'll be out of the hospital in 6 weeks if we get this in the can. Something along those lines. It was on the bleeding edge of like action. It was on the bleeding edge of danger because it was just, it was an earlier era. And also just people, some performers are, bless them, they're insane sometimes.
I will give, in the world of Mad Max, I will give George Miller some credit. It just, like, I love the practicality of everything he does.
Yeah, that's another thing, like, especially going into Fury Road. He went practical as a motherfucker on that. Just all these car stunts and having people on posts and just all this ridiculous, exciting stuff. And it's like, wow. This man is a madman, and I love him for it.
One of the best parts of all the movies and everything that's ever came out, do you know what actually one of my favorite moments in the Mad Max world is?
What?
Did you ever see the Conan O'Brien where they spoofed it when he's going to Comic-Con?
I vaguely remember that, because didn't he dress up as a Doof Warrior?
They did the whole thing with him playing the guitar on top of the giant monster truck rig thing from the movie, and he's blowing fire out, and it was really, really funny. And then, like, he comes down, someone lowers him down. Oh, that's probably movies aside, that's probably my favorite moment from anything related to Mad Max. So let's dive into it. Furiosa, what's it called? A Mad Max Saga. What do we think of this?
This is an utter disappointment.
Oof, really? The way we were just talking about it, I would have thought, I would have bet my last dollar you were going to like it.
Furiosa is the antithesis of Fury Road. It is only, for a movie that's only 25 minutes longer, it manages to feel like the full 15 years it takes Furiosa to get revenge. And basically, it is an lore expansion we did not need. It is a waste of really good acting talent that normally performs. And I just did not, I felt like it was being dragged through mud, and I just wanted it to be done.
Wow, you haven't not liked a movie this much in a while, I feel like.
It also doesn't help that it was warm in that theater. So on top of this movie dragging, the theater itself was warm because it's a press screening. There's a lot of people in there. They probably didn't have the air up to the way it should have been. But yeah, just...
all right. Well, that's kind of surprising. When I heard that they were... I remember when I saw Mad Max Fury Road, and by the way, surprising, that came out in 2015. That's a lot longer than I thought it was for some reason.
Well, there was also the fact that Mad Max Fury Road took a long time to get off the ground because that started as an actual Mad Max sequel for Mel Gibson to come back.
Yeah.
And I think it was around 2000, 2001, around that era, late 90s, early aughts, they were trying to get it up. Didn't happen. And then over time, Mel Gibson kind of dropped out of the project, but it was still sort of humming. And then we finally got Fury Road in 2015. And so Furiosa, happening almost a decade after, is not quite as long of a wait, but I know it's still up there.
When that originally came out, everybody was like, "Oh, Furiosa from the movie, all this," and I saw it, and I'm like, it was just kind of another character. I didn't get what stood out so much about that particular.
She was a badass, and Charlize Theron embodied her so perfectly. And then she also has it, despite the fact that they fought on set hardcore, she and Tom Hardy worked pretty well together.
Yeah,
and it really kind of was her movie over. That should have been called Furiosa. And that's another problem I have with the actual Furiosa movie, is the fact that it starts off more Chris Hemsworth's movie.
I love in that movie how he barely talks.
Oh, you mean Tom Hardy and Mad Max? Yeah, that's the character. At least that's the character that he played, is just very much a man of few words, very mysterious. And another thing that Furiosa flies in the face of is the fact that the Mad Max series has not always been known to be 100% contiguous. The continuity has always been taken as
shaky at best.
Well, the urban legend is the best term I've heard for it. It's basically like Mad Max is an urban legend, and these stories that we're hearing are from different people, different viewpoints, different experiences. So recasting him as Tom Hardy was no big deal, but Furiosa is a direct prequel to Fury Road, to the point where it leads directly into Fury Road's events. There is a clip reel during the credits that show you highlights of Fury Road.
Oh, really?
This movie is very much tying itself onto Fury Road, like Max is strapped to a pole on the head of a Warboys interceptor.
Oh, well, there you have it. Furiosa, not recommended, eh?
The only bright parts are Anya Taylor-Joy and Tom Burke get some really good scenes together, and that's when the strong and silent approach works for this movie. There's a wonderful arc where Furiosa meets someone named Praetorian Jack, and they're falling in love, but it never turns into stock typical romance love. It's silence. They're protective of each other. You see them developing through minimal dialogue, but it works.
Okay.
And Chris Hemsworth is fantastic as Dementus. He's playing it to the hilt, prosthetic nose and all, and he's having fun. But the movie stretches itself to the point where fun and skill just sort of fall by the wayside because it takes a long time to get started, and it just goes nowhere.
Okay. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com on the line with me right now as we talk about Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, not recommended. What were the other movies? We haven't seen them, but A couple other movies coming out this weekend. What do we got?
Well, in theaters, we've got Chris Pratt's Garfield movie, and on Netflix, we have Jennifer Lopez's sci-fi action film Atlas.
Wait. Go back. Where's Garfield at?
At the movies?
I don't know why I thought you said it was coming out on something else.
Probably because of Atlas being on Netflix, and like I mentioned both of these movies probably one right after the other when we talked, so it was like slight misdirection.
Okay. Misdirection, everybody.
Wires crossed.
Gotta get the wires crossed sometimes and, figure out what's going on. Okay, so Garfield, let's start there. This is the one that everybody was kind of mad at, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the sense that Chris Pratt is cast as Garfield, and it's another voice acting role that he's got with like a legendary character, and
And you know what? Super Mario Brothers turned out pretty all right.
Super Mario Brothers turned out all right. Fine, I'll give you that.
What other voice ones did he do?
Lego Movie, which I detest fully.
I like the first one.
I hated both of them. I just got it out of the way. I just hated both of them. Thank you. No, thank you. He was in Onward for Pixar, which was also
you know what? I didn't hate Onward.
Okay.
I thought that it could have been better, but what movie can't? But I legitimately I enjoyed that. I thought it was kind of a fun modern take on an old story. Oh, look at me talking movie terms.
Yeah, you got all those cinematic terms out there. Next thing you know, you're going to be throwing out aspect ratios and cinematographers.
Anywho, so you didn't like? Oh, well, that's kind of shocking. I liked.
Yeah, I didn't like Onward.
I like their stepdad.
I don't even remember why. I just didn't like Onward.
All right, so Garfield, are we hearing anything about it? Have they released anything yet? Or we just know it's going to be Chris Pratt being Garfield?
Well, the movie does have a Rotten Tomatoes score of 47% at the time of recording, 51 reviews, and the consensus says that it rolls along at a zany enough clip to be diverting for kids, but this animated adventure doesn't much resemble Jim Davis's iconic grumpy creation. That is straight from Rotten Tomatoes critics' consensus they put out there. I have definitely heard that this is just and it also doesn't help that, it's been a while since the Bill Murray Garfield movies came out, but those were still infamous enough that it's like, if you're going to come back at this, you got to do something with it. You got to do something good.
All right.
And what really makes me sad is Mark Dindal is the director behind this, and he's an animation director who made a little movie you may have heard of called The Emperor's New Groove.
Never seen it.
Really?
Yeah, shockingly enough.
Go watch Emperor's New Groove. You will love it.
How many times have I asked you to watch something and you just breeze past it? Yeah, I'll go watch it. No problem, Mike. Get right on that.
Yeah, your schedule's not packed with other movies that you're seeing to keep current and also cover junkets for. Like, you're just like, I'm doing the radio. Beep, boop, boop, boop. Let me play Freebird. Did you like the trivialization of your profession?
Mike Reyes.
Because I didn't like putting it out there. You asked for this.
You asked for this. You. I don't have a response other than that. I'm not going to be creative on this. It's not going to be fun. I'm just going to drink the mud and at the end.
That is why we're friends.
You're always like, never mind. Just tell me, what's the other movie coming out this weekend?
Someone doesn't want to talk about Space Camp anytime soon.
Oh, I do want to talk about Space Camp. That's such a good movie. It's not a good movie,
yeah, you do.
But I want to talk about it.
And I found a copy of it on YouTube specifically so I could prep.
You did?
Someone has it on YouTube because it's like kind of hard to. I don't think it's available to rent even.
No, I looked at. I will say this about Roku. I really love their search thing. How you can search it in generic and they'll put it up on like what platforms it's on, and it didn't come up on any platform.
You cannot rent it. I'm almost certain that it's out of print on physical media.
Yeah, I will be. It is the full version of it, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I don't advocate for piracy because I think people that make and star in films and projects such as this should be able to make money off of it. And also this stuff should be available for for audiences to enjoy. But when you've got something like this that really falls into the cracks, it's like, unless you're really going to make money off of it and put it back out into the world properly, this is the next best thing. And it's like, I'm going to watch Space Camp on YouTube.
Oh, it's so bad in a great way. It may be one of the most perfect 80s movies out there.
Just knowing the concept and looking at just the little limited knowledge I have on it, it definitely is like 80s deep fried fun. And everybody loves something like that. And I don't care who you are, everybody's got a favorite like that. I love Robin Williams' movie Toys, which is another one that you really can't rent or
yeah.
own.
Wow, I forgot about Toys.
Oh, Toys. Toys is such an absurdist joy to watch. It's also very colorful. It's on my list of overdue rentals to cover on overdue rentals. So I really have fun with that one. It's not a perfect movie by any stretch.
It makes no sense.
It barely makes sense. And the parts that make sense are the really prescient parts, like the whole drone warfare thing that it kind of called years before it even happens.
Do you remember The Toy with Richard Pryor?
And Jackie Gleason. Oh, you want to talk about something that would not get made today?
Oh my goodness. It's such a funny movie. Richard Pryor was the piranha scene as a kid was one of my favorite scenes. Oh, Mike Reyes from Cinemablend on the line with me right now as we go down memory lane. What was the last movie that's coming out? I don't remember it all. Atlas. What's this one?
So Jennifer Lopez is
Jennifer Lopez?
We are not going down that South Park route. No, sir. No, we are not doing it. We are not doing it because I am maintaining my integrity and I'm keeping my career.
Okay, anyway. real quick. I had it's really easy to make the Jennifer Lopez thing after South Park. Much in the same way you're trying to keep serious. I interviewed legitimately a male model the other day, and I'm trying not to make Zoolander jokes. And he starts making them in the most perfect way possible. And it's like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to take this serious now.
That's when you know that it's okay. That's when you know that that's also when you know you're in good company.
Oh, that is a really dumb but awesome episode of South Park.
Oh, that was the golden era of South Park. Funny that you mentioned that this week because there's two things I've been thinking about lately because of South Park. We have Bigger, Longer, and Uncut's 25th anniversary this year. And then the South Park, The End of Obesity, is going to be on Paramount Plus on Friday, and it's an Ozempic episode with Cartman. It's an Ozempic special with Cartman.
Oh, God, that'll be good. I saw that, and I was like, I'm going to have to see that. Back to Atlas real quick. Do you remember a movie called Robot Jox?
Achilles! Yes, I do.
I don't know why, but this looks like a modern version of Robot Jox.
Oh, not at all. No, this is literally the synopsis is a brilliant data analyst with a deep distrust of AI finds it may be her only hope where a mission to capture a renegade robot goes awry. It looks like it could have promise, but
it won't.
It's really interesting because it does have some fun bits with the AI and like the latest trailer, where like it learns how to swear from her. And she's like, you had all that access to my mind and all you learned is swearing. And he's like, I'm an adaptive learner. And then you've got Simu Liu playing the evil AI robot, the renegade robot that may be up to some no good. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a twist where it's like, wait a minute, he's not the bad guy here. He actually has a point, and you're a pawn here, Miss Jennifer Lopez.
The most I've paid attention to this movie is I pulled up the trailer. I've got it in front of me on YouTube, and I've just been clicking through the bar. I haven't just let it play. I haven't been able to hear of anything, but just the parts I clicked on. That's why I thought Robot Jox.
Yeah, no, it would be more fun if we had Robot Jox back up again, or I have to see if that's even streaming somewhere because it has to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you've never heard of Robot Jox before, it's a movie from the night. It was released actually November 21st, 1990. It's the story of the world is now, things are solved or whatever with robots and they fight. It's like giant mech warriors.
Robot fight. Those are the two sweet words that my wife would use to describe it, because that's exactly what she described the scene where Michael Fassbender fights Michael Fassbender in Alien Covenant. And it is available to stream on Tubi, Pluto, and Roku.
How has this not been remade?
Because it is a very special balance of just good luck remaking it, because you're lucky to have even gotten it made once.
How has it not been made into like an anime or a cartoon or something?
Oh no, I would love to see an anime because we've actually got a Terminator anime coming out later this year too, which is not focused on John Connor, and there is a supposed hero that is creating an AI to fight Skynet with AI.
Oh, that's an interesting concept.
Oh yeah, it's like wow, and it's from one of the co-writers of the Batman, Mattson Tomlin, I think is his name.
Okay.
He also wrote a really interesting movie for Hulu called Mother/Android.
Oh, I think I remember that.
I'm excited about that, and it also just looks really good. Like visually, looks good.
All right. Well, Atlas is out this weekend, as we didn't talk about it at all. Not in a million years when I started out today that I think we'd be talking about Robot Jox at any point.
Does anyone ever really expect to be talking about Robot Jox?
I think they should. Oh, it was so good though. God, I miss Robot Jox.
I need to go back and watch that again.
I may have to pull up that and watch it. The robots were so cool too. But anyways, all right. So Atlas is out this weekend on Netflix. I might actually give that a try. We'll see what happens. So Mike Reyes from Cinemablend on the line with me right now as we make our way through it. Movie news wise, what's been kind of the big story this week, Mike? Totally didn't prepare you for that, but whatever.
It's not something that I've seen widely reported, but it's something that I stumbled on when writing a story earlier today. There was this wild story about Terrence Howard saying that he has memories from being in the womb.
Oh, whatever.
And
you're actually, when I pulled up Cinemablend, it's the first story, Mike Reyes.
Well, yeah, because they must have put it as a big slide.
Yeah, but it's the first. It's the first story.
I put out quality. You want people to ignore it? You're starting again.
All right. Anyways, tell us about Terrence Howard. If you didn't think he was insane before, that kind of does it, right?
I guess. I mean, I try to be neutral on it because, like, okay, those are your beliefs.
My first memory was almost like when you're dreaming and you're falling and you hit the bottom and you wake up. That's my first memory. But I didn't wake up here. I was inside my mother's womb and I was about maybe 6 months inside. How would you know?
All I'm going to say is watch the video because it's a wild story. That's where I leave it. That wasn't even the thing I was going to mention. The thing I was going to mention is the fact that while I was researching that story, I saw on Wikipedia that he was listed as returning as Colonel Rhodes for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, no. Really?
There was no citation next to it. I don't know. I don't even, like, there's a lot of salt I'm throwing towards this because I don't know if he would even go back to it after the falling out he had with the MCU. But it is an interesting possibility, and maybe someone's throwing it out there to, like, throw the scent off of spoilers, because already we have so many cameos that have been hinted at this point.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes' Blade has been hinted at this point. Jennifer Garner's Elektra. We know that Pyro from X-Men is going to be in there. Valkyrie's supposed to be in there. Thor, I think, is supposed to be in there. Like, someone might just be throwing this stuff out there so people pick up on the scent and then report it. And then we're really surprised when we see the movie. But I just thought that was a very interesting thing to see out there where it's like, I'm going to call bingo on that.
Going back to your thing real quick, to finish up what he said, I'm like, okay, don't forget me. I'm here. Okay. Don't forget. And he was on the Joe Rogan Experience, right?
Yep. Where else would you expect a conversation like this?
Well, any of that aside, like, there's part of me that, listen, it's not that I don't think you don't have that memory, but I'm calling on you saying you remember being in the womb. I was about 6 months old. How the would you know? Like, you can't tell time inside of a casino, let alone inside your mother.
I'm leaving that one alone.
But I mean, seriously, it sounds so stupid. But hey, good job being the number one story on Cinemablend, Mike.
Oh, thank you for belittling my accomplishment.
I'm not belittling. Cool. I was actually legitimately you.
I'm gonna play Kiss, Detroit Rock City. Roar.
I was legitimately trying to say congratulations to you. It's crazy, and I think he's full of shit. But hey, real quick, Deadpool, did you see there was some kind of QR code or whatever?
No.
During one of the trailers or something. I don't have the story in front of me.
I do know that Fandango is offering something really interesting. They're starting to offer like a Deadpool combo pack where it's like you get snacks and 2 tickets. Like they're starting to offer packages like that, I guess, to get people to go to the movies.
I haven't looked at it yet. Let's see. Looks like there's a hidden QR code that takes you to a video of them like destroying the MCU for 30 seconds.
Huh.
I'll have to pull. I haven't watched it yet. I just remembered it off the top of my head. So it's been a week.
Yeah, I didn't know it happened either.
Anyway, so that's floating around out there. What else are we talking about today, Mike?
Well, one of our writers has a dark theory for the ending of Young Sheldon.
What's the theory?
The theory is that Leonard's dead.
I did see that. That is the one I saw.
Yeah, because the whole thing is apparently Penny's mentioned, Leonard's not mentioned. One of Sheldon and Amy's kids is named Leonard. And they also bring in the fact that I believe Sheldon's Jewish. And as part of the Jewish faith, you're really not supposed to name people after people that are loved ones that are still alive. I think if I'm remembering this correctly. If I'm not,
Sheldon
I
was
apologize
baptized Christian.
Okay.
And he's atheist. I heard that and I saw it, and I think the clues are interesting. But I go back to the very end of Big Bang Theory where they said, and we named one of the kids after, Leonard, whatever. I wanted to call him Leonard Nimoy Cooper, but she wouldn't let me or something.
That's where I got confused because Leonard Nimoy, the whole thing was like they didn't want to name him Leonard because if Leonard was still alive, that might have caused confusion, even if they were naming the child after Leonard Nimoy. But that seems to be fuel for the speculation that maybe Leonard is dead.
You know what? I don't know. I don't believe it. I like I like when people make those theories, that type of thing. I just don't believe it.
Yeah, at a certain point, a theory just gets so far, and it's like, nope, I'm going to tell you why that's wrong. Like, you sent me one recently where it's like, nope, that was wrong. Here's why. It's just like you can only play along for so long before it's like there's knowledge and precedent and clues here. They gave you all the clues, Mr. Policeman. I'm trying to think of the one that you sent me.
That's what I'm trying to pull it up right now as we speak.
I know it's through TikTok.
I've got the tickety talk in front of me.
Oh, Groundhog Day.
Oh, that Needle-Nosed Ned is the devil?
Yeah, because Groundhog Day was like, oh, Ned's the devil. He signed up for the insurance policy. He made a deal with the devil. It's like, no, that's not why he's in the time loop. In other drafts of the script, it was explained that he was cursed by an ex-girlfriend. She said the relationship was going nowhere, and it was a waste of time, and she cursed him to be in a time loop. And he got out of it somehow. But then they just figured, you know what, we're just going to leave it vague and mysterious. So they cut it.
If you just go by the original cut of the movie, I kind of like the Needle-Nosed Ned thing. I get what you're saying.
I like that Michael Shannon gets hyped up about going to WrestleMania. That didn't break him out of the time loop. I seriously do love that scene, though.
Tickets to WrestleMania!
Bless Michael Shannon for always being a gift, even at the Met Gala when he's in a tuxedo carrying a bag of chips.
I like John Candy as the devil in Home Alone.
Oh, it's always the devil.
I know, you're not crazy about that one.
They're showing up in WandaVision.
Cool. How wrong were we about WandaVision?
So I think we were wrong about WandaVision in more ways than one.
Oh, God. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com as we make our way through it. You want to start to wrap this thing up this week?
Yes, and now that we mentioned WandaVision, something interesting did actually happen. The Vision series with Paul Bettany looks like it's being changed again. Being changed because a couple years back they announced that there was a show that they were tentatively calling Vision Quest, and it was going to be written by the head writer of WandaVision, Jake Schaefer, I believe it's her name, or head writer of WandaVision.
Okay.
And then just today they announced that not only is Terry Matalas, who was the co-creator of 12 Monkeys, but you would also know him as an executive producer on Star Trek Picard. He is stepping in to become the showrunner for this show. They are aiming for a 2026 release date.
Okay. That's interesting.
They have no clue what this is going to be about, but I'm hoping that they take Tom King's Vision arc, where he builds himself a family, like builds himself a robotic family, and gets into some really weird stuff with that. I'm hoping that's the arc they go with. That was the arc that I was hoping they were going to adapt when WandaVision was first announced, and it never happened.
All right. As we wrap up this week, Mike, I want to dive into the world of Star Wars. I texted you some stuff last night, but it's not enough. I got to get this off my chest.
There's your most awkward kiss.
What, 6-year-old Annie and Padme?
I was going to say Leia and Luke, but okay.
Oh, yeah.
That is also awkward and wrong.
All right. So, long story short, you may remember Jace and I started to rewatch Star Wars with the anniversary like a week or 3 ago, whatever it was. We were going to sit down. We were going to watch Phantom Menace. He didn't make it through the first 5 minutes, and then we've just been watching little bits of it. Although the more he watches, the more he kind of gets into it, and the more like closer he's paying attention to.
Yeah.
So we're watching it last night, and we're getting to the part with the pod racing scene. And you know what? Pod racing scene isn't a bad race scene. It's not awful. I know some people hate that part of that movie, but I'm watching. I'm like, okay. But I had some thoughts during it as I'm watching Star Wars for the millionth time. How do they not have age limits on pod racing?
Your guess, life is cheap on Tatooine.
Like at some point, no one went, really? We're going to let a 6-year-old fly one of these things?
Also, I think Anakin was the only human in there and the only kid in there. Like, everyone else was grown-up adults. He was the only human that's like, I could pod race. And they're all like, no, Anakin, it's too complicated for a kid. But wait, he has the Force. He can go. He was born with it.
It's kind of like if my son Jace just decided, you know what? I'm going to be in the NASCAR race this weekend.
So hear me out.
Okay.
What if we remake Talladega Nights, but make it an Anakin Skywalker story about the pod racing circuit?
Oh, that could be interesting.
Tatooine Nights. There you go.
I like it a lot.
Master Skywalker says, if you ain't first, you're last.
That little green alien, blah, 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 and the subtitles are, I don't know what to do with my hands. But
don't you put that voodoo on me, Anakin Skywalker.
Stabs him in the leg. Okay,
oh, wait,
but
we can't do that because Anakin technically has to have a dad.
Yeah. All right. So anyways, my next thing is right when they're getting ready to go, everybody like walks out and they've got like the flag of them. Those are some like for being Tatooine where everything looks like a pile of shit. One, it's amazing that he got a flag made that quick for his pod racing deal. And two, that everybody's flags are immaculate. Yeah? No? Anything?
I honestly haven't thought that much about Phantom Menace in years.
Like, it just hit me last night. I'm like, where do you get that flag? Where did this thing come from? So that was another thought. One of the other thoughts
I'm assuming it would be much easier to come up with these thoughts the way you've been watching the movie because you're watching it in piecemeal. So you're not getting caught up in the story and caught up in all the like action that gets thrown in there. So you're given a little more time to sort of stew on like the last piece you watched with your kid.
Agreed.
It's like those podcasts that break down movies like a minute at a time.
These are just random thoughts I had last night. Anyways, my next thought, how is it that he wins the race? Everything's hunky-dory. He's going to start going, he's going to, leave the world of slavery and go off to Coruscant and all of this. And we just forget about the mom.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I thought of. Like, Padme was there. She is the queen of an entire planet, right?
Yeah.
She's the ruler. She's the top of the mountain. Everybody, that's where the decisions are made in all this. Like, she sees this 6-year-old do all of this for her so she can get an engine, so she can get her ass off this planet. Qui-Gon made the deal with, what's his name? The flying squirrel or whatever. Guado. Or Guado was from Total Recall. Huh?
Watto.
Oh, Watto, not Guado. Two very different. But how does she just not go, you know what? I've got the money. Let's buy Anakin's mom and take her with us. It's the least we can do. She sheltered us during the sandstorm. Her little boy saved our lives, getting this engine and winning this race. We could probably pull some strings and get this done. And
then Anakin Skywalker would not have a reason to become Darth Vader and just would have been a good Jedi, and none of the Star Wars movies would have happened.
But I mean, it's just like how do they not get back to the ship and she's going to the stand-in lady? Hey, this kid did a really good job. We should probably do something for him.
It also doesn't change the fact that this relationship is just kind of creepy with the age gap.
Oh, it's very creepy.
Like, how old is Padme at this point?
Boy, I'd have to look it up.
Oh, you know all this other shit? You don't know that?
Hold on. Tap, tap, tap. According to this, she was 14.
So she's 14, and how old is he?
And this is going by Google, so if any Star Wars person's out there is like, oh, he's 9. So really, it's not a, like, once you get into the legal side of 18, it's not a huge age gap. But when it's a 9-year-old and a 14-year-old.
At that point in their lives, they're not a thing. Like, it's still kind of, oh, he's adorable.
But
you're jumping 10 years later. So Padme was 14. She would be 24 at that point. And then Anakin would be like 18. You said
18, 19.
How old did you say he was?
He was 9.
18, 19. So that's within legality. It's not like she's a 30, 40-year-old going after him. But, yeah.
I just think you look back on that and it's like, how do you not do that? Like, how do
Star Wars!
Like, there needs to be the moment of the mom, like, you guys going to come back for me, guys? So glad I helped you out.
His mother knew that he was going off to face his destiny. She kind of didn't want to go. Like, she was like, I know.
Yeah, but you're not telling me that if they would have said, hey, we've got a spot for you on the jet, or how about this? You don't even have to buy her. Just say, hey, come with us. What do you think, that flying rat is going to search across the galaxy for her?
I'm giving you space for your thoughts.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, what was stopping her from just getting on the ship?
Plot? Darth Maul's double-edged lightsaber. I don't know. Dunk the kid already.
Or have Darth Maul kill the mom right as she's getting on the plane, right as she's getting her freedom, something.
Yeah, but then you don't get the connections to Anakin and the Lars family, and then you don't get Anakin having a rage boner killing the Tusken Raiders in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, but that was pretty awesome. I'd like to see an extended cut of that. Not only the
women, but also the children, and it's like, that's not your first hint of what he's going to do next.
Well, I don't know if anybody went, you know what, he's going to kill a room full of kids. I don't know if that's anyone's first thought about what's going to go next.
Exactly.
But I look back on that and I'm like, how do they not just say, hey, come with us? You know what? Your kid did us a solid. Let's get you off the hole. And you know what? For a job, just come to Coruscant. We'll give you a place. You can work at the Jedi Temple. You can sweep the floors or do whatever the you do, and it'll be good. Like, did not even try.
I think you need to go talk to George Lucas, like, now.
Am I not right on some level?
I think Star Wars exists as a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away in a place that's not reality, so... Well,
I think Padme did him wrong all the way back then.
You just want to justify Padme's death.
No, not so much that, because I actually like her. I like some of the fan fiction stuff, especially with the AI stuff on TikTok, where it shows like what happens if they would have grown up and had the family and everything would have been okay. Like, I don't mind Padme. I just, in that situation, it's like, well, sorry, no ticket.
And then Indiana Jones comes in and saves the day.
I don't understand why she had to stay there. Like, it didn't seem like as a slave that she was like chained to the wall or something was preventing her from leaving in a way that they would have been like, well, she's gone. Yes, this week's edition of the show is nothing but Phantom Menace and Star Wars.
There you go, guys. I mean, it's a change from Star Trek.
Oh, don't get me started on that. They're planning on doing another reboot.
Simon Kinberg is the person that they're going to do it with. The guy who borked up Dark Phoenix and I think helped bork up Apocalypse, and also had that horrible spy movie, the 3055, that we talked about. That's one of the only reasons I remember it.
The part that really makes me mad is it's another prequel. And I think the short blurb I saw about it was like finding aliens for the first time and starting of the Federation. It's like, we f***ing seen it. We seen it. They did a whole series on the start of the Federation. It was called Enterprise, which led to, how about this? The signing of this Federation Charter. And guess what? We saw the first time they interacted with aliens. It was called First Contact. It was a pretty good movie. But yeah, let's retread this whole story again. It's disappointing. It really is.
I do like the fact that Holly Hunter's coming on for that Academy show.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see. Just real quick, let me finish up on this. It's just one of those, it's like you You've established with Discovery that the Federation exists into the 32nd century, and you keep going back to the same time periods. Why don't you give me, and you keep retreading stuff that we've seen. Yeah. Why can't you give us something we haven't seen? Like you wanted to do with the Section 31 movie. Hadn't seen that. Yeah, it's kind of in the same time period, but it's a portion of Star Trek that we haven't seen much about. How about you do the time period in between the Enterprise A and the Enterprise D, where you had two other Enterprises? Why don't you do post-Picard? Or how about this? You've got, 4 or 5 centuries in between the end of Picard and where Star Trek Discovery is. Like, I don't get why we keep having to do a reboot prequel series.
Although on the plus side, it looks like Section 31 wrapped production.
Well, good deal. Small favors, everybody. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend.com joins me every week on the show to talk about movies. I'll get off my high horse and my b***ing. We'll wrap it up for the week, okay?
Go feel something good, please.
No, there is no good in the world anymore.
All of the grass. Touch grass listening to the Phantom Menace theme.
I have a lightsaber. I will come after you. Actually, I have that and a Jedi robe. Maybe I'll just fly to Jersey. So you just travel everywhere dressed as a Jedi?
Gimme. You ever travel to another state with a lightsaber to threaten a man?
The other one, go back to Padme for a second. Remember?
Here we go.
Remember in Attack of the Clones when he said his feelings for her, and she's like, "Oh, I can't possibly," but she's wearing the hottest outfit she's ever worn before. Okay, I'm about to tell Anakin that we can't be together, and that kiss earlier was a mistake. I should probably do this in the least sexy way possible. Also, Padme. And then they have the meme of her and what she wore.
Although I have to tell you, if you love digging into this a little more with comedy, there is a pair of cosplayers on Instagram. Their handle is Balance of Forces.
Yep, it's awesome.
They are fantastic when it comes to doing stuff like this. They put one up recently where it basically spoofed the ending of Phantom Menace, where it's like all happy and everything, and then the last thing is like Obi-Wan realizing he's a single parent and has to take care of this kid.
No, they're very, very good. But I've always loved that meme. Okay, I'm about to tell Anakin that we can't be together, and I should probably do this in the least sexy way possible.
He can't know what he's missing if he isn't shown.
Oh, and that's where we'll leave it. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend joins me every week on the show to talk about movies. This week's show was interesting.
Get help.
I don't want to.
Have a good weekend, man.
Let's get this done so you can go hang out with your mother-in-law. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me back on the line as we are back. You thought you got rid of us, but this nonsense we call a podcast continues on. Mike texts me a few minutes after we got done. He's like, "Oh, man, we should have talked about this." Mike, tell the world what this is.
So HBO has a 3-part documentary coming up called Ren Fair. And it's basically about the line of succession at a Texas Renaissance fair.
And it's not like a show, it's like a docuseries, right?
Like a 3-part documentary, yeah. So I'm wondering if they're going to be like 3 feature-length pieces, or if it's just going to be like 3 hour-long episodes that make a original documentary series.
Like this is like real people in a real Ren Fair, right?
Yep. According to the synopsis, who will claim the king's throne? Ren Fair HBO, a 3-part HBO original series, chronicles a fantastic and farcical succession battle of Shakespearean proportions at the Texas Renaissance Festival. Or, as a friend of mine who's in Ren Fairs told me when I shared the clip with her, we finally have our Tiger King.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I watched this. It's like the Renaissance Fair version of Tiger King.
Yeah.
It looks kind of insane. You know what I think the trick is with that stuff is finding a likable character.
Or at least someone interesting enough that even if you don't like them, you want to follow them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Joe Exotic, not a great human being by any stretch of the imagination, but there was something about him that was kind of mesmerizing. And I think that's why that show worked.
And of course the memes that came out of it, like, I will never financially recover from this. And I think that's why the second season didn't have as much heat behind it, because it was such a surprising thing that when they tried to, they basically asked for the laugh instead of asking for the salt, so to speak. So going in again, it's like, oh yeah, it's totally going to be a hit this time. It's like,
do we know much about this Ren Fair it's following?
I don't.
Other than it's in Texas?
part of me wants to look into it, but then I feel like that'll ruin whatever's going on because I feel like this has probably been reported on that level.
I get it, but there's part of me that kind of wants to know not so much about the series itself, but like how long has this thing been running? It's got its own website, Texas Renfest, Texas Renaissance Festival. It looks cool. Like it looks like a good Renaissance festival. Like it doesn't look like those ones that kind of show up sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember going to one. I went to my first one when I was probably 18 or 19. That was a very interesting experience.
Please elaborate.
It just was like you really are like there are people that take that stuff really serious.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've been to a handful of Ren fairs, and I definitely see that. And I see why they do it because it's immersion, and immersion can be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the sort of thing you see it like with people going to Disney. Like there's immersion in certain pieces, and it really depends on your mood, I think.
According to Wikipedia, the Texas Renaissance Festival, dubbed Renfest, is the annual Renaissance fair located in Todd Mission, Texas, about 55 miles northwest of Houston. It started in 1974. Festival claims to be the nation's largest Renaissance-themed park. As of 2017, the festival sits on 55 acres of land. Wow, they really get into this.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
You got it in there. But the show, no, it totally looks like Tiger King. It totally looks like Tiger King.
I am very curious to see where this goes.
Like, I hope it doesn't, like, end... It's going to sound horrible, but I hope it doesn't end in prison like Tiger King did. Because there was so much more. Like, following the exploits and misadventures of Joe Exotic, like that seemed like that was going to be years worth of content, you know?
Yeah. Well, they went pretty. I think they went fast with that because they didn't think it was going to do anything. I don't think they thought it was going to have the staying power that it did. If they had more confidence in that respect, they might have probably slowed the roll, but they didn't.
There you go. All right. Well, Mike, thanks for that. I can't wait to watch. What do we want? Ren Fair. It's just not as cool as Tiger King. It needs a better name.
I mean, we'll say. Well, no, I like Ren Fair. Ren Fair is pretty simple. I thought you meant like, well, maybe the concept will be as cool, but I do like that Ren Fair is pretty. You know, it's a Ren Fair. Like, yeah. What title would you give it?
I don't know. Like Tiger King was pretty awesome. It's like, ooh, what is this? It sounds mysterious. Ren Fair. Okay, it's the Renaissance Festival.
2 words, very simple, very direct. Tiger King, Ren Fair, Roadhouse.
Wow, we don't need to say anything more. Mike Reyes from Cinemablend joins me every week. Thanks so much, Mike.
Roadhouse.